December the 7th, 2017. As we've been talking about the takedown of the deep state for the last couple of weeks, and each day we see it getting closer and closer, and it's the exact things we've been talking about, but they're kind of behind the scenes. And Trump has always said, I'm not going to let the enemy know what I'm doing before I do it, the way Obama did. And what we've seen is now we're starting to see the takedown of the implanted CIA mainstream media implants. We're starting to see the senators going down, especially on the Democratic side, and I think we're going to see some Republicans too. But the ones that started screaming and yelling, it seems now that they were the ones that had the most to hide. Yesterday we talked about the Rico Act and the people like Harvey Weinstein, Miramax, the Weinstein Corporation, being now charged with federal RICO acts, and that has everything to do with organized crime because of the way they manipulated as a group the people that a lot of these guys were sexually abusing. And they're going down, but in the report that came out the day before that, 7,800 pages, Hillary was mentioned as part of the cover-up. But now, and if you remember, Elizabeth Warren was one of the first ones to attack Trump. Not that he had done anything, it was just that all of a sudden they realized, and that's what the pattern we're seeing, pay attention, is the fact that these ones that are screaming are so afraid of going to jail because suddenly it's not Hillary the boss. There's a new sheriff in town. And this report today is coming straight in behind that information from last night. And the deep state is going down, and that's why they're screaming and clawing. Now, what we're seeing now is about to be the takedown of Elizabeth Warren, tied in again with Hillary Clinton. And what we're dealing with, and this is a report from today, but they're talking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, called the CFPB. Headlines a couple of weeks ago. Trump had appointed a new leader to the CFPB. And the Democrats started screaming, Elizabeth Warren started screaming, and the lady that was supposedly take over the job started screaming. Why? Because they were hiding something. And it was called the Secret Democratic Slush Fund. Again, this is reports coming out today. It's about the takedown of the deep state. Thank you, Tyler Durden. We're looking at Zero Hedge. Listen to this again. This is who Trump always messes with on Twitter about, and he calls her Pocahontas because I think she lied about being a Native American to get elected into her district. Anyway, a consultant who worked with a highly politicized Consumer Financial Protection Bureau called the CFPB claims the organization funded a large portion of over $5 billion in collected penalties to community organizers aligned with the Democrats as part of a giant slush fund. This is coming from the Post. Now let's go back about a week ago in history. Trump appointed a new leader to the CFPB. The Democrats, especially Elizabeth Warren, who actually was the founder and the person that pushed this bureau into existence, started screaming. A lady that was supposed to take over, that was a Democrat, started screaming, but Trump appointed his own person. And why were they screaming? The first hen that cackles laid the egg. They were hiding something. Now, you're talking about $5 billion funneled, and most of it, you know where it went? To Hillary. Created 6 years ago as the brainchild of Senator Elizabeth Warren, and slipped into the Dodd-Frank bill before it was passed by congressional Democrats. The CFPB became one of the most powerful agencies in D.C., exactly the way the Obama administration let everything set up. And guys, this is going to go into the RICO Act. Listen to what I'm saying. This was a shakedown, just like a mafia shakedown created by Pocahontas. Said it was one of the most powerful agencies in D.C. with the ability to exercise enormous power over the U.S. economy while its budget remained unencumbered by congressional oversight. Perfect Hillary setup, guys. Exercise enormous power over the U.S. economy. What was the power? to take billions and funnel into the pockets of the Democrats. The problem is that this agency and its director was set up to be free from the control of the Congress. Congress's fundamental obligation to oversee and fund such bureaus or agencies is short-circuited when it comes to the CFPB. Its structuring in it the manner written by now Senator Warren, Democrat from Massachusetts, the law abrogated the idea of a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. Instead, it established an autocratic and unaccountable power center for people of Warren's ideological persuasion, those who view our market economy as an enemy that might be managed by a chosen few. In other words, a New World Order financial drain on our economy, another way to take down our nation, just like sending the jobs overseas. Mass immigration to take over the labor force. Think about it, guys. Another Hillary, Elizabeth Warren conspiracy to take down our nations. Rico Act. Said, again, those who view our market economy as an enemy that must be managed by a chosen few. The creation of the CFPB as a rogue agency with a dictatorial leader is one of the most significant acts of malfeasance perpetrated on the American constitutional system since the Sedition Acts of 1798. And this is when they really started screaming. Last week, Trump handed over the reins of the CFPB to appointee Mick Mulvaney following the resignation of Director Richard Cordray. Now, why did he resign? Probably the same reason a lot of other people are resigning on the Democratic side. And this kind of made the bottom of the headlines last week. It said, but not before Deputy Director Leandra English's unsuccessful attempt to block Mulvaney's appointment in a compliant file against Trump and Mulvaney in a D.C. court. Guys, it was kind of like yesterday, they tried to impeach Trump. It's like 350 to 50, not quite the exact numbers, but it got shot down even by Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. Why did they shut it down? Because they've already been served noticed, and that they're part of the deep state, and that's why a lot of them have shut their damn mouth. And it's about time, excuse my language. It said after a federal judge ruled that Mulvaney is now acting director of the CFPB, his first order of business was to institute a 30-day freeze on all new hiring and regulations. Perfect. Guys, Trump is so far ahead of the game. That's why he's been teasing Elizabeth Warren to draw her out, draw the enemies out. He's done it one after the other. Reince Priebus, all of that bunch. And guys, you know who the last two in order are going to be? It's going to be Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. Just mark my words. They're being played because you keep your enemies close. Let them think they're on that side. Trump's playing them, and I'll be so glad. I'll be just as happy when I see Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell taken out as I will Hillary, because they're just as complacent in all of these lies and cover-ups. Both President Trump and Mick Mulvaney have had strong opinions about the CFPB in the past, while Mulvaney saying it is a completely unaccountable agency, and I think that's wrong, and adding, if the law allowed this place not to exist, I'd sit down with the president to try to make the case that other agencies can do this job well, if not more effectively. He said Mulvaney also called the agency a sad, sick joke. That's because they raked in millions through this Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which was putting so many regulations on businesses they could hardly exist, and fining them and sending these billions of dollars straight to Hillary Clinton. It said aside from the $5 billion slush fund detailed in the Post, the CFPB had also engaged in the following. And this is where the RICO Act is going to come in. This is what we've been talking about. This is what QA9 has been telling us. Bounced business owners and industry reps from secret meetings it held with Democratic operatives. Radical, listen guys, this is so important. Radical civil rights activists, trial lawyers, and other community advisors according to a report by the House Financial Service Committee. So here we have a government agency supposedly protecting the consumers, paying for Antifa along with Soros and all the anti-Trump stuff that was going down. Again, this is the collusion, and when you get multiple groups in this, it becomes a Rico Act. And so what we're about to see is very similar to what I think happened in Saudi Arabia. They took down a lot of these corrupt politicians, princes, heads of mass media, things like that, shook them down, took the money, put it back into the government. That'll help do a lot with the deficit. Plus, you'll knock out future rip-offs. But guys, that's what we're dealing with, and that's why these Democrats are screaming like maniacs, because they know they're going down, and each day they try another lie. They try to promote it through mainstream. We've got to take Trump down. He's got to be impeached, with no backup, no proof, no nothing except their panic, and their panic is their judgment. We're watching it, guys. It's a heads up. Be safe.